What's up, besties? It's your girl Morgan here, and you're listening to Your Internet Best Friend. All right, besties, I am here in a brand new studio. I am so excited. I'm no longer in my apartment. Your Internet Best Friend has a new home. I'm so excited. Producer Courtney got a 6th spot. And you know how it's fate that I am meant to be here is the front door. I walk up. There's 2 things that I actually know why it is fate. First, beyond the front door being hot pink, it literally is the color of the blazer that I'm wearing. I'm like, I feel right at home. I'm driving and I'm looking around this neighborhood and I'm like, this seems oddly familiar. And then I'm turning a corner, and as y'all know, I love my colon hydrotherapy. It's where I get, like a tube shoved up there and it cleans out your colon. It's lovely, but I go weekly. So I obviously know this neighborhood well. Tell me why producer Courtney's new studio is directly behind my colon hydrotherapy place. So, it is fate. I'm meant to be sitting in this chair and I'm so excited. So today we are recapping the European cruise. This is a highly requested solo podcast. My sister was supposed to be here with me. If you're wondering, Morgan, haven't you been talking about Alex coming here to talk about this with you? So she was. Alex and I got in like a little sister argument. And it all it's the dumbest argument. And sisters will understand this. If you do not have a sister, I'm going to say this and you are going to judge me. And that's okay. But if you have a sibling, specifically an older sister, you're going to be like, girl, I get you. We got in the dumbest argument about stagecoach tickets. Don't even know what it was about. It was about stagecoach tickets, though. So we were arguing, and it somehow ended up with me saying something she didn't like. And then she was like, well, I'm not going to come on your podcast and help you out. And I said, fine, don't. So we got in this argument, and then we weren't talking for a few days. And I am so stubborn that I very easily could have been like, hey, Alex, I really need you. Come on this podcast. I'm such a Taurus through and through. I am so stubborn. I am just being a little sister. And I was like, fine, I'm going to do it by myself. And this was actually last week. And I very easily, I could have recorded with her last week. And then this week we made up. As sisters know, you forget about the arguments that you have. Although I did notice Alex refollowed me on Instagram. Tell me why when we get angry at each other, our natural inclination is to hit the unfollow button, like that's going to affect anything or that the other person is even going to notice. So she unfollowed me, and then a couple days later I got a refollow and I was like, oh, I guess we're friends again. So she refollowed me, although I think I still have her hidden from my stories now that I think about that. So I should probably unhide my story because now we are friends again. But she's out and about. I don't know. Last I checked, she was in South Korea. I don't know if she's like flying to Tahiti today. Lord knows where this girl is. I thought about possibly having her fly to Nashville to join me, but schedules did not align. Anyways, long story on a tangent. I'm here alone to recap the cruise, but I promise I have made notes. I will leave out no juicy details, and I promise, I'm literally not lying, so don't get mad at me. Alex will come in person for another episode. We'll do a sister episode. We'll talk about dating. We'll give a life update. Trust me, Alex has been on some more dates, and they are juicy. But let's talk about this European cruise I went on. So if you listen to the end of season 1, I talked about I was going to go on this cruise. It was titled Rejection is Protection because the person I was going to go with ended up bailing, sent me on this cruise kind of by myself. Luckily, Alex was able to save the day. Last minute, I literally called her in tears and said, can you fly to Barcelona in 3 days and join me for this adventure? And she said, absolutely, say no more. So we love Alex, but before we get into the details of the cruise, which involve partying in Ibiza, somehow I made out with a gay Olympic skier. Don't ask. We'll get into that. I met tall, hot Aussie-Ibiza-cruise man also on this trip. But I have a little update about the guy who bailed on the cruise. And I want to bring this up not because I want to be petty. I want to throw shade. I really try to always take the high road if I can, especially the last episode, I didn't want to dog him. I made it more about my feelings, and I always try and just bring it back to myself. But the second someone becomes a bad person or they do something bad, I feel like it's fair game. And I've talked to all my friends, and they're like, name him and shame him. And I'm not going to name names, but I will give you his alias and we will talk about what has gone down since then because, and I want to bring this up specifically because it really, really does show that rejection is protection. I was not making that up. And I really want people to believe that, not just from my words, but like actually look at what happened and you'll be like, holy shit, Morgan, because I'm going, holy shit, Morgan. Okay, so his name is Bicep Boy. That was his alias. Literally all my friends knew him as that. I don't even think my parents knew his real name ever. It was always just Bicep Boy. And at the time, I really thought it was a cute name because, met him at the gym, had great biceps. And now looking back, hindsight's always 2020. Bicep Boy was called Bicep Boy because he literally does only arms. We go to group fitness classes and even on leg day, I'm not kidding, on leg day, this man picks up a pair of dumbbells and he goes to do biceps in the mirror. And now I've picked up on that and I was like, that's a red flag. Why did I not? Okay. Anyways, hindsight's 2020 with everything. You live and you learn. But with Bicep Boy, obviously, I said rejection is protection. It sent me on this, by him bailing, sent me on this cruise with my sister. We had the time of our life. But I will say the first couple days on the cruise, I was sad. Like I was supposed to go on this romantic cruise. I had made all these dinner reservations. My sister and I were quite literally one of the only not couples on the cruise. There's just her and I and a bunch of couples. So I was a little sad. And then by the end of the trip, it all clicked. It made sense. Her and I bonded. We had so much fun. We had so many memories. I ended up meeting tall, hot Aussie-Ibiza-cruise man, which I would not have met had this guy come with me. And then once I got home, I even further realized how rejection really is protection. And I'm just going to say, I was saved from a narcissist. Point blank, that is what happened. And it gives me chills thinking about this. And I really, really do want to also bring this up because I have almost a soft spot in my heart because I have dealt so heavily with a narcissist who wreaked havoc on my life for 3 years. I am just now to the point where I'm okay. I was in so much therapy. So if you're out there and you've dealt with a narcissist, I see you, I feel you. God, oh my God, if you see the red flags, run. And it almost is a little scary for me. I think God literally stepped in this situation and plucked me out, literally plucked me up and put me on this cruise with my sister because he knew what this was about to be. He knew that I could not deal with another narcissist, but really, Morgan, this makes literally no sense. Okay, I'm going to get into that. So I get home from the cruise and I find out that Bicep Boy is now dating a new blonde, which is totally fine. Blondes do have more fun. And you know what it is about Nashville, which is so odd, which I'm starting to not like. I will say it's the one thing I actually really do dislike about Nashville is it is the biggest small town, or is it smallest big town? Whatever it is, everyone in Nashville knows everyone else's business. You're 1 degree of separation from someone else. And when people used to tell me that, I didn't believe it. I was like, no, it's still a big city. No. It is the smallest city where everyone really does somehow date each other and nothing's private. I feel like the second someone is dating someone new, the whole city knows about it. So I get home and obviously people have informed me, whatever, dating someone new. Okay, well, that's fine. But Alex, being the protective older sister that she is, which as much as we argue, I am so thankful I have her in my life because sisters will always stand up for each other. You can fight, you can argue, you can unfollow each other, but at the end of the day, you're going to have each other's back. So I get home and obviously I had mentioned to her, I was like, Dan, this makes me feel kind of sad. It just is a shitty feeling. Again, it's that feeling of rejection. Even though I knew going on this cruise, I was protected. I met a new really awesome human. It was still, again, I felt that feeling of rejection. Well, guess what? I was about to find out how protected I was. Alex then saves the day. Depends on what saving the day is. So she DMs this man as he's posting, kissing people, his new whatever on the cheek. I was going to ignore it. Alex messages him, sends me a screenshot. And I was like, oh my God. She messages him and she was like, oh, so this is why you bailed on Europe. I was like, no, you did not. Low-key was a little go Alex, but also kind of mortified. So instead of responding or ignoring, you know what? You can ignore, unfollow. Okay. He just literally straight up read the message and blocked her ass. And she said that to me and she was like, I was like, did he respond? She was like, no, he blocked me. And I was like, no freaking way. Okay. So a little petty, true colors were shown. Well, then I had so many tangents, guys. I'm so excited to be doing this solo podcast because I feel like I've just been wanting to explode with information. And now I'm like, I got to talk to my besties about it, AKA a bunch of humans I don't know, but don't judge me. Just kidding. I know that you guys would never, ever do such a thing. So he blocked her. And then literally the next day, it's almost like, I don't know. It goes back to literally God protecting me. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I get a screenshot from a friend. Apparently there's a bunch of Reddit threads in Nashville and it's like gossip columns and it's talking about who's dating who. Who freaking knew? In LA would never happen. LA is way too big. But again, going back to Nashville being such a small, big city, I had no idea this Reddit thread existed. I also avoid Reddit at all costs because after reality TV, I was like, I must avoid Reddit. It is a toxic rabbit hole to go down. Anyways, whatever. Guess where I went? Down the toxic rabbit hole because I had to click on the article that my friend sent me. But I guess there was an article about Bicep Boy and whatever, the new Blondie, which by the way, let me point out, because I'm not going to name names, but I just want to say for those out there, if you are dating or you're engaged to, or you're married to someone and their Instagram handle is at the real and then their name, run away. Look, I'm telling you right now, you should probably get divorced. Don't hate me for that. But in my experience, if we remember my past relationship, when I met him, it was at the real Voldemort. And at the time I was like, okay, whatever. It kind of makes sense. He was, I don't want to say celebrity, but he was a public figure, Z-list celebrity. So we gave him a pass for that one. But when it's at the real Bicep Boy, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like maybe that at the time should have been like kind of like a light bulb moment in my head. But again, we're working on recognizing red flags and acting on them. I feel like my body does recognize them. I'm not the best at acting. I am attracted to the wrong people. And as I've learned in therapy, I tend to go for the bad boys thinking I can maybe fix them. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're the same, you're not going to fix them. Anyways, red flag. I'm sorry if your partner has at the real in front of their name. You should tell them to change it immediately and seek therapy. Anyways, so I look at the Reddit thread and they're talking about it. And there was just, Reddit is anonymous, which I kind of like as well. But you have to take it with a grain of salt. And again, this is all speculation. This is not necessarily true. I have no idea. So I never want to start rumors or anything. I'm just saying what I read and how it relates to me. But basically someone had written down just a novel of information about, and they were basically like, run far away from this person. He is a narcissist through and through. He has a history of physically abusing women, which once I read that, my chills across my whole entire body. I, again, don't know if it's true, but you don't ever want to read that about someone that you were potentially interested in and inviting on a European cruise. So that literally my jaw dropped. And then it was, he cheated on his ex with an 18-year-old. And again, jaw dropped even further. And just all of these different facts that all eerily added up. And just the fact that they were like, it is a textbook narcissist situation shook me to my core. And then in that moment, I literally put my phone down. I said a little prayer and I was just like, thank you, God, so much. Because if I did not believe that rejection was protection before, I wholeheartedly believe it now. I was saved from going down the road that I've been many, many times before. And I will say now looking back, something that I learned is when I was seeing that person, your nervous system should be at ease when you're seeing someone. And for some reason, mine never was. And I just assumed it was my nerves, my anxiety, because it was such a cute guy who had everything on paper that I wanted. And I was so excited to meet someone in Nashville I was interested in. So I just blew it off and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just being a nervous girl. I need to get my anxiety in check, take another Xanax. No, it was my nervous system being like, whoa, Morgan, wake the hell up. It will never lead you wrong, that little gut feeling. So I'm just throwing that out there. It should be easy if you're in a situation and you're just something feels off. It's not you. It is not you. It is something else going on and you need to act on that. So lesson learned. But that was a long tangent leading up to this cruise, but I had to throw that out there because that is what has been going down this past week in my life. And I was just like, holy shit, I can't talk about this cruise and not bring up this situation because wow, I'm still just shook. And yeah, so let's talk about the cruise now. Let's talk about more lighthearted things. So we go on this cruise. Alex joins me. So we went on Virgin Voyages. It was a European cruise, y'all. I'm not a cruise girl. I went on a Carnival cruise in high school. It was bad, okay? Not a cruise girly. I will say it was probably bad because I was underage and we emptied out Listerine bottles and put Malibu rum in them, but did not wash out the Listerine enough. So we had minty coconut rum to drink on this cruise. So you can imagine, did not love my Carnival cruise experience. So I was a little reluctant to go on this one. Again, the main reason I was going was because someone I was romantically interested in wanted to go. Now I am going with my sister and sharing a cozy little room. And so we walk on this cruise ship. It is stunning. First of all, let me just say, if you want to go on a cruise, I suggest Virgin Voyages, adult only, no children. I love children. I love the kiddos of the world. I don't necessarily want to go on a cruise with them. So this was adults only. And I ended up splurging. So I upgraded our room. So Alex, lucky Alex, she really, if we're thinking who's getting the long end of the stick, Alex wins in every situation. She got a waltz onto this cruise ship. She didn't have to pay a dime for anything. I ended up paying to upgrade my room to an extra large because again, I thought I was staying with a man and I wanted to maybe impress him. And if it was just Alex, I would have been put us in the basement. I don't care. Instead, I spent my own money to upgrade the room and Alex, anyways, she got to reap the benefits. It was great. We had so much space. We had a lovely little balcony. I could have lived on that cruise ship. So we left out of Barcelona. And I think what I liked about Virgin Voyages the most is it's very, I don't know how to phrase this, but it's adult friendly. But it's just for example, all of the workers and dancers on the cruise are in tiny little booty shorts. And it's just fabulous gay men dancing. And then there's drag queens everywhere. There's drag brunch. It was so fun and so me. So there was a welcome party and Alex and I are there and on our third glass of champagne. And we come across this dancer named Cameron. Cameron is fabulous. Cameron is not listening to this podcast, although I do follow Cameron on Instagram. I do not think this man followed me back. He's this random blonde girl from a cruise ship is following me. But he was just so fun. And Alex and I instantly, I love a gay man. Oh my God. There's nothing I love more than an awesome gay man. So Alex and I look at each other and we're we're going to befriend Cameron. And that is what started our cruise bucket list because at that moment we're we have to befriend him. We have to get him to follow us on Instagram. And then we were wait, okay, that's fun. Should we do a cruise bucket list? So that is what started this crazy idea for us. So I'm going to read to you our cruise bucket list and then we'll go through what we actually completed. So among the many things, some highlights of our cruise bucket list were befriend one of the entertainers and get their Instagram handle. Check. Get a free table in Ibiza. Didn't do that. Get a tattoo or piercing. Guess who got their ears pierced? They're infected right now. Maybe don't get your ears pierced after partying all night in Ibiza, but it's okay. This one's real crusty. So just do not look at my left ear. Take a tequila or vodka shot with a new friend, jump topless in the ocean, ride on the back of a scooter, kiss a random guy, in parentheses that says Morgan in all caps because Alex apparently didn't want to do that. I think she was seeing someone at the time. Convince someone that we're from England, which we didn't do. Thank God. watch the sunrise, eat a gelato per city, dance on an elevated surface. You guys get the gist of the cruise bucket list. So our entire mission, this cruise, went from let's have fun to let's be absolute feral animals and check off as many things as we could. This cruise went from 0 to 100 really quick. And normally I'm not the type to be wild, crazy. I love routine. I can do like one night of fun party, but I cannot do a week on a cruise ship of that. But I don't know if it was me being with my sister and we haven't hung out in a while, or it was the situation where with the guy, or me being single. I don't know. All the F's I had flew out of that cruise ship window, and I was like, let's go. It was the most wild week of my whole entire life, but we'll get to the wild stuff. I'll go through like kind of some of the highlights of the trip, because if you're looking at booking this awesome epic adventure cruise, Virgin Voyages, we did the French days and Ibiza nights. Like that was our itinerary. So we started in Barcelona. Then we went to Marseille, which is south of France. And I'm very proud of myself for this one. We got to get off the ship and you get to kind of plan what you want to do. So you can do like cruise things and book excursions with the cruise, but I'm not a tour girl at all. In fact, I get anxiety at the thought of being like on a tour bus with other people. I'm like, absolutely not. Luckily, my sister is not as well. So we're like, we're just going to do our own thing. So I was like, okay, call me crazy, Alex. I want to do a hike. And she was like, excuse me. I thought that would never come out of your mouth. So of course I found on TikTok, where I find all of my ideas, this epic hike in Marseille that you can go on, and it's like an hour and a half, and you just go to the most epic, insane spot ever. And in my head, I said, that's going to make for a great photo. So that's why I wanted to do it. So we start hiking, and it's like 2.5 hours down. Mind you, it's like very toasty in France when we went, which was in August. So I'm like dripping sweat. I'm not going to complain, though, because this was my idea. I have to prove to Alex I do enjoy hiking on occasion, even though I'm not going to lie, it was not fun. So we finally get down there. And when I've been to a lot of places in the world, I actually just downloaded an app called Bean, B-E-E-N, Bean, whatever the hell you want to call that, Bean. And so I've been actually to 23 countries, which is really cool, which is only 11% of the world, which is wild and goes to show that I'm meant to travel more. So I've been to a lot of really cool places. When I tell you the most beautiful, stunning, unbelievable place I've ever been was this place. I wrote it down. It is called the Calanques in Marseille. No, the Calanques. Anyways, I don't know. Go look at my highlight on Instagram. You'll be able to find it. It's Calanques Day something. Insane. The bluest water you've ever seen. A little tiny beach that you have to hike basically down a mountain to find this cove. And it's just a bunch of beautiful tan French people in kayaks. The water is so blue, it looks like the kayaks were floating, which I've always seen online. And I was like, that's totally photoshopped. No, it's not. It is this place. So we get down there, and obviously when Alex and I are together, we have a rule, and we say we're going to get all the content done first, and then we're going to enjoy ourselves. Well, it doesn't always work out like that, because we put time limits on. We say, okay, you get 10 minutes for photos, then I get 10 minutes for photos, and we legitimately put timers on our phone to time ourselves to make it fair, because we will get in so many arguments. And we will somehow, I'll be like, well, you took more time. And she'll be like, well, you sabotaged me and all mine were crooked and you tried to make mine bad. And I'm like, no, I need more time. You're rushing me. Anyways, all you need to know is it always leads to a massive fight. But we said we're in a beautiful place in the south of France. We're only going to spend a little bit of time. So I got my photos, all this. So I walked down to the beach. I'm like, okay, I want to get in the water. Well, Alex at the time, before I walked down, she's up here and she's like, no, I want to take more. And I was like, nope, sorry, sister, timer is up. 10 minutes has gone by. No. And looking back, I could have just taken more photos, but I was so sad. I was like, nope, I'm sorry, I'm done. And she was like, well, I'm not going down on the beach until you take these photos. And I said, okay, fine. So picture both of us. I'm standing on this like pebble beach by myself, like arms crossed, like staring at the water, waiting for her to come down. She's like up on this cliff staring at me, arms crossed. And it was just like a sister standoff, and none of us were moving. And I was like, I will sit here until the sun goes down because I'm not losing this battle. What you need to know is I did end up winning the battle, and Alex did walk down, and I think we ended up getting like the perfect photo of each of us. Oh my God, that's like the cringiest thing ever to say. And the fact that we argue about this, my parents are listening to this being like, you are not welcome to Christmas dinner. Like, we are ashamed that you guys are our daughters. Anyways, we got the photo. I ended up winning the sister standoff. I'm so proud about that one. And then I decided to jump off a cliff. My toxic trait is I will do anything, literally anything, if it involves an adrenaline rush. It is truly my mother's nightmare. She's like, why is this my child? Look, I'm not saying it's smart. I'm not saying it's safe. I wouldn't recommend it. There's something wrong with me where I feel the need to jump out of airplanes in foreign countries. I really want to bungee jump for some odd reason. Love a haunted house. I mean, that's a little more reasonable. I also love just like cliff jumping. So we see these guys jumping off a very tall cliff. And I said, Alex, we're going, put your tennis shoes on. We're going to jump. And she was like, no. I said, okay, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it so you can choose to follow me or not. So we hike ourselves up in our little tiny bikinis. We get to the top, and it's probably the tallest thing I've ever jumped off of. I'm not even going to attempt to guess because me and math and numbers I'm like 50 feet. I don't know. I feel like it was like 3 stories at least. So these French guys are jumping off. They speak no English. So it's not like I can be like, hello, where should I jump off? I'm just like giving them thumbs up, and they're giving me thumbs up. And I said, okay. So I go, and I am at the edge, and there's nothing more terrifying than looking down and being like, okay, you have to commit to jumping. Because if you hesitate at all, look, I've seen the TikToks. You guys have sent them to me on Instagram. I know it's dangerous, but you got to commit to it, because the second you hesitate, bad things happen. You take a tumble, and I don't want to know what happens next. So I take the leap of faith. I jump. It was so exhilarating. I land feet first, nailed it, whatever. Then, of course, Alex has to copy me. So then she was like, I want to jump. I'm like, I'm a trendsetter. We are so competitive. I love her dearly, but like we have such an odd relationship. So she jumps. Then we have this idea. We're like, should we jump together? And I was like, yeah, because I think it'll make for a really cute video. So we go up there together, and I say, okay, this is such a bad idea. I say, okay, we're going to jump on the count of 3. But make sure, Alex, do not go before, and do not hesitate, because we were holding hands. Okay, if you're going to jump off a cliff with someone, do not hold hands with them. Or once you jump, let go. Okay, the French guys didn't speak English. They did not tell us that. So I count to 3, and this hoe jumps early. And we're holding hands. So all of a sudden, we're tumbling down this cliff. She's landing fine. She pulls me down, and I land like a rag doll, like legs wide. I literally landed, and I was like, I thought I broke my vagina, for like lack of better terms. I landed in the water, and I was like, I'm scared to know what happened. And then I get up, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm fine. So we look at the video that we asked this French man to film, and Alex is like, oh my God, it's sick, I'm posting it. And I said, no, you're not, Alex, because you land perfectly. I look like an idiot. Like I land like sideways, like limbs in every direction. I was like, hell no, you're not posting that. She was like, what? Like, you look fine. And then we got in this massive argument because she was like, fine, we'll jump one more time. And I was like, absolutely not. Now I'm convinced that you're trying to murder me. So no, I'm not jumping with you again. Anyways, to this day, I'll post a screenshot on the Instagram so you guys can see my poor little legs, and then Alex landing like an angel in the water. But to this day, I'm still convinced that she was trying to sabotage me and take my life and get access to my closet. But guess what, Alex? I lived. So you're going to have to try harder on the ways that you want to kill me. Okay, so I'm going to get to the juicy stuff on the cruise, but I want to follow up with this story. So we went to Mallorca, which is my favorite place on earth, and it is actually the reason I picked this itinerary of the cruise, because it's stunning, and I just, on my vision board in January, I actually put a picture of this tiny little street in Mallorca, and I said, I'm going to go back there. Well, lo and behold, that is why I was on this cruise. That's why I picked this itinerary. I did make it back to my little street in a town called Valdemosa. It's such a fairy tale town. If you ever have the chance to go to Mallorca, make sure to take, I think it's like a 30-minute taxi ride. Go to the town of Valdemosa. You feel like you're Cinderella. I don't even know how to describe it. It is unbelievable, but you can go look at my Instagram. So all you need to know about that one, though, is Alex and I, again, we don't do what the cruise goers do. Anyways, words are hard for me today. My foot is still asleep. We decided to go off on our own. We're like, okay, we'll take the taxi. We'll go to Valdemosa. We'll give ourselves enough time to get back to the cruise ship. Well, what you need to know is we did not give ourselves enough time to get back to the cruise ship. So we go to the little town. We get back to Mallorca, and we got a gelato for whatever reason. We thought we had all this time. So we're like, okay, we'll just get an Uber back to the cruise ship. At this point, we had 15 minutes to get on board the ship. And for some odd reason, we're like, oh, we're 5 minutes away. We're fine. Well, we could not find an Uber anywhere. Could not find a taxi. Could not find an Uber. We are pacing around. There are no cars to be seen. And we map it. We're like a 35-minute walk from the port. So we start panicking. And of course, what do I do anytime I'm panicking? I go to Instagram and post on my story. And what does that make me do? It makes me panic more because people always tell me the worst possible scenarios. So I'm like, hey guys, we're stuck. Is the cruise ship going to wait for us? And flooded with messages. They're like, nope, they leave you. And I was like, what? I thought in my head, you have a little band and you have to scan it every time you get off the cruise ship. So I was like, okay, we'll probably be late, but there's no way. I'm sure they check and make sure everyone has scanned back before they leave. And everyone's like, no, they quite literally will leave without you. And it is up to you to buy a plane ticket and get to the next destination. So I look at Alex and I was like, oh, hell no. No, all my clothes are on there. I'm not wearing this sweaty outfit for the next 24 hours. She's like, my ass is not booking a flight to, I think our next destination was Ibiza. I was like, I don't know how the hell to get to Ibiza from Mallorca. I'm pretty sure you have to, maybe you can fly there, but whatever. I was like, we need to be on this boat. So we start sprinting, and I'm wearing a sundress. We're sprinting, we're stressing. Alex is frantically trying. She finally got an Uber, but they're 30 minutes away. So she's on Waze in freaking Spain, trying to give them directions on how to get to us quicker. All you need to know is that lucky girl syndrome is a real thing. So I start chanting. I'm like, we are lucky. Everything is working in our favor. We are lucky. By the grace of God, this Uber swoops by. I don't even know if it was for us, but we jumped in that Uber and I was like, you need to book it to this port. So she's weaving in and out. She drops us off. We were the last people on this cruise ship as they were about to pull the door up. So thank the Lord. And if you think that I'm joking about this and being dramatic, no, because someone actually sent me a TikTok. I've got to find this TikTok. And there is some man on a cruise ship and he's filming from his balcony. And there's a girl running after this cruise ship with her suitcase. And that was about to be me and Alex. So they don't wait for you on cruises. So if you're listening to this podcast and you now want to go on the Virgin Voyages, French Days, and Ibiza Nights cruise, which I recommend, just know, be there early because your ass will get left and then you will be in trouble. Okay, moving on. Cruise is lovely. I'm going to do a blog post on Virgin Voyages. So if you want to read how much it costs and what the food was like and what restaurants we went to, I'm not going to bore you with those on the podcast. You can read about it. You guys are we want to know about who you made out with. And I'm going to tell you. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed, but also not in the slightest. I have no shame. So the last night on the cruise, there is a Scarlet party, which is so fun. I think it's what Virgin Voyages is known for. Every single person on the cruise ship meets at the pool. There's a DJ and everyone is wearing red. So it's a really cool experience. So we're having fun, all this stuff. I was not expecting it to be as wild, but Scarlet Night popped off. The 75-year-old couples were in the pool. People were making out, people were taking shots. I was like, where are we? But anyways, a bunch of you guys messaged me on Instagram and let me know earlier in that week that I was on the cruise with, his name is Gus Kenworthy. I didn't know who he was, but apparently he was on the Challenge All-Stars. He was also on that new survival show on Fox. I didn't know about that. And he's like a badass Olympic skier. And I became friends with him and his friends. They're not listening, but if they are, hey guys, miss you. So finally, like, we kept seeing him out and about, and I was like, I don't want to be annoying and be that girl who like walks up to him and was like, hey, so like, were you on the challenge too? I'm like, ew, that is so cringy. But also, like, I didn't know how else to make the introduction. So I think Alex and I just ripped another tequila shot at Scarlet Night. And then him and his friends were right next to us. So I did go up to him and I was like, hey, this is so random, but I think we were like both on the challenge. Like, a bunch of people told me to come say hi to you. Anyways, long story short, we ended up being friends with him. He was there with his 3 friends. So then we were drinking together. We went down. There's a club on the cruise ship. Who knew? So we go down the club, and obviously they're asking about Alex and I. And I'm like, yeah, we went on this cruise together. And Alex, being the lovely big sister that she is, automatically interjects and is like, yeah, I'm here because Morgan got ghosted by a guy. And I'm like, shut up, Alex. Literally shut up. Why do we need to say that? But it's like such a sister thing. So then I'm like, yeah, we have this cruise bucket list. I'm like, can you guys be like my wingmen? I'm looking for a really hot guy. Like, it's on our bucket list, to have like a fun, spicy makeout. I've been kind of sad all week. And of course, it's like 4 gay men. Like, oh, we got you. Yes, with your power pony. Oh my God, you look fabulous. I'm like, hell yeah. And then one of them was like, wait, Gus, make out with her. And I'm like, he looks at me. And also, Gus Kenworthy, go look him up. Y'all, this man is hot. He is so sexy, a beautiful creature. So he looks at me, I look at him, and I'm like, yeah, I'll make out with you if you want to be the person who checks that off the bucket list. Absolutely. So my sister's like, give me your phone. So Gus like leans in. He starts like making out with me. Tell me, it was probably the best kiss I've had ever. Alex is filming me. So like she's like Kris Jenner. She's like, you're doing amazing, sweetie. She's like getting angles, all this stuff. Meanwhile, it was not like a casual kiss. Like, it was like a full on 30-second makeout that I'm not going to lie, thoroughly enjoyed. Tell me why I posted this video, not thankfully on my Instagram story. It was on my close friend story, but still, I gave no context. My poor friends at home, literally, they're looking at this, the time difference. This is like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, and they see me in a nightclub just tongue down the throat of this very attractive man, and I gave no context. So as you can imagine, my friends are texting me like, Morgan, is that Gus guy? Who is this? I'm pretty sure he likes boys. What's going on? Didn't even respond. I was like, don't worry about it. Having a great time. Everything's going well on the cruise ship. Anyways, that was that night. We had a blast with them. Then Alex disappears. She's talking to like some Serbian man. Very cute. Disappears. I was like, all right, see you later. Have fun. So I'm like kind of alone, and this guy comes up to me. And does anyone remember in the last season when I stayed at the Swinger Hotel in Bali? I don't know why. I must have a sign on my forehead that just says like potential swinger, because a guy comes up to me and he was like, are you here alone? I was like, me being an idiot. Yeah, I am. He was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm here with my wife. And I'm like, oh my God, fun. Where are you from? And he, of course, did not want to chat with me casually. We're in a nightclub. He's like, do you want to like come upstairs and join us? And you guys can imagine me, like innocent, naive me, like my jaw drops. And I'm like, oh, no, like I'm sure you guys are lovely. Like, I'm not into that. Like, and I'm also by myself. So I'm like, oh my God, like, does he think that like I'm wanting to join them? Tell me why Gus Kenworthy, Team USA, Olympic gold medalist, swoops in to save me. And he just interjects so smooth. And he just like is like, come here, babe. And like starts making out with me again. Obviously to like save me from swinger dude. But I'm over here like melting into a puddle like, oh, Gus. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, I'm like, Morgan, he literally likes men. Like, what are you doing? Anyways, that's how I got out of that situation. Stumbled up to my room, and I'm trying to go to bed because it's now 3:30 in the morning on this cruise ship. And guess who has the room key? And guess who is nowhere to be found on the ship? Alex Shea Willette. So I get mad because I just want to go to bed. And I'm texting her. I'm calling her. I'm texting. I'm calling. She's not answering. But you know what I can hear somewhere in this cruise ship? Alex Shea Willette's voice. So I'm like pacing the hallway. and I could hear her in one of these rooms. I don't know where she is, but I can hear she has a very distinct, like high-pitched voice, and she's like giggling. And I'm over here just fuming, like pacing the halls, and I'm like starting to yell. I'm like, Alex, I can hear you. I know you're ignoring my phone calls. You're somewhere in the ship, and she's just ignoring me. So finally I just like sit down, and like 30 minutes later, I see her in her little red dress walking up the hallway, and I'm sitting on the floor just like angry, like pissed off. Imagine me like arms crossed staring, and she's just like la-di-daing. She's like, okay, like ready to go to bed. We get in. So also on the cruise bucket list was no sister fights lasting more than 10 minutes. So we did get in one, and I would say it lasted maybe 15 minutes before both of us literally passed out in the bed. We got in like the world's biggest argument. And then the next morning we went to bed not speaking and woke up and we're like, want to get breakfast? And we're like, yeah. And then we like skipped down to breakfast together. So that is literally a sister relationship summed up. But moral of that story is never, ever, ever let Alex Willette be the only one to have the room key, because she will disappear and you will not be able to get in. So we're now towards the end of this cruise. And if you're listening, you're like, we want to know how you met tall, hot Aussie-Ibiza-cruise man, which I need to come up with a shorter alias because that one's hard. So we'll just call him the hot Aussie. So our last stop was in Ibiza, and that is what Alex and I were probably the most excited about, because at this point we had just been full sending it all week and we wanted to end on a high note. I've never been to Ibiza. I'm not really a club girl, but I don't know. I feel like everyone should go and stay out all night long in Ibiza once in their life. So towards the end of the cruise, Alex had been the one. She had downloaded Tinder and she's been swiping. We were trying to meet up with just some fun guys to go out with, because it was just us, and Gus and his friends invited us out with them, but they were going to a gay club, and we're like, oh, like we kind of want to, like, I don't know, we'll do our own thing. We'll meet up with them if we can't find anyone. So she's swiping. She's having no luck. She's meeting only like weirdos. She's like, can you please help me out? Like, download Tinder. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I was still in the back of my head a little sad about Bicep Boy bailing, because I think I kept seeing all these couples around, and I was just like, man, like this was supposed to be me with another guy. I had all these hopes, whatever. So I did not want to match with anyone on Tinder, but she's begging. I'm like, okay, it's game time. I got to do it. So I download Tinder 24 hours before, and I'm just like tapping left, right, swipe, yes, no. And I am not even really paying attention. I'm literally looking for like attractive face, abs, seems normal. I don't know. We're just looking for someone to go to a club with and maybe buy us a few drinks. Okay, nothing crazy. Was not trying to marry anyone. So I came across, I guess, and during all this, tall, hot Ibiza cruise man, Aussie, whatever his name is. Tall, hot Aussie Ibiza cruise man, or the hot Aussie. Came across him, and I just had messaged something generic, and I was like, so we're going out tonight, right? With like a wink face, because I have no shame in my game. And he had messaged, and he was like, yeah, meet me at our hotel. I'm with one of my guy friends. We'll grab a drink. So I look at Alex, and I was like, all right, I got a plan for us. I don't know how this will go. I don't know anything about this man. I didn't look at his Instagram. I didn't even look at his profile, which is just like so concerning now that I say that out loud. But I looked at one photo. He seemed nice. And I said, Alex, I did my job. We have a plan. We're going here. We're going to go to this club with them. It's someone from Tinder, so it's probably going to suck, and they're probably going to be a weirdo, but let's grab a free drink, and if we need to, we can bounce. So we meet up with them. Instantly, they're so sweet. I see hot Aussie, and I'm like, oh, he's so cute. And then we buy a drink, and then I think once I actually sat down to talk to him and actually had a deep conversation, I became 10 times more attracted to him. We just instantly connected on such a deep level, both in the fitness world, both, I don't know, kind of more mindful, spiritual. So we're just chatting up a storm. And then Alex and his friend are talking, and we end up going to the club. Mind you, I go to bed at 10 p.m. in Nashville. I wake up at like 7. I love 10 hours of sleep. I need melatonin. I need a face mask. I need ambient noise. I need a cold room and a satin pillowcase. Okay? Love sleep. So imagine me. It is now way past 10 p.m. in Ibiza. You don't go to a nightclub in Ibiza until 1 a.m. I think is when people started walking into the club. And Ibiza is a strange place. I was thinking it was going to be like this epic, larger than life destination, exotic. No. Ibiza's like kind of like Cancun, but maybe not even as, I don't know, not as pretty. Maybe there are pretty places, but we went at night and these clubs are just massive cement blocks. One story, nothing crazy, nothing painted on the outside, a white block of cement. So I'm walking in at 1 a.m. with two strangers and Alex, who's never going to be any help in any sketchy situation. So I'm like, what am I about to get myself into? It's 1 a.m. and I said, whatever. It was on our bucket list to stay up all night long and watch the sunrise. And y'all, if you know me, and hopefully you know me by now listening to this podcast, when I set my mind to something, I will not stop until I do that. So I was convinced. I was like, I am not walking out of this cement building until the sun is rising, until they shut it down. I'm in it to win it. And guess what? I fully committed. I was on Planet Ibiza, for lack of better terms. That's really all you need to know, was just a space cadet. We were having fun. It was the most insane experience of my whole entire life. There were so many people. I cannot describe the amount of people. And I'm also with this guy and we're kind of vibing, and it's just like the music and the beats and him and I just like gazing into each other's eyes. And of course then we're like making out, and it was just like this whirlwind experience. And I've never felt more alive in my whole entire life. And I did not expect that. I really expected 2 hours, my feet to hurt, me to be sweaty and over it. Like, that's kind of how it goes anytime I go to Vegas. I'm icked out, and I hate Vegas, loathe Vegas. I could have stayed in that nightclub for days, which I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if it's because I was with this guy, and I really felt like it was just him and I in this nightclub and no one else, but we were surrounded by probably 5,000 people. So then I blink and the lights are coming on. I literally look at my phone and I'm like, oh, it's 7:30 in the morning. They are literally kicking us out of the club. I guess I stood there for 6.5 hours. If you're watching my Instagram story, you know what I was doing during that time. I was posting on my Instagram story, which I got back on the cruise ship after staying up all night and had to re-watch my Instagram story. There's nothing. When I say there's nothing more mortifying than having a wild night out, posting on your Instagram story, and then coming to the next morning and having to watch how obnoxious you were. But I'm not, you know what? I want to say I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed, but I didn't delete them. I stood firm and I was like, well, I had a great time. And I stayed up all night and I watched the sunrise. And I also forgot about this one. The reason everyone knows about the hot Aussie, which I probably should have kept it under wraps, because I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know. I actually might see him this week. That's a story for another time. Whatever. We live on separate continents. Anyways, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Is it fate? Is it a fling? I don't know. So I should keep this under wraps. But you know what my dumbass did? I posted on my Instagram story a video of me making out with him as the sun is rising behind me with no context, no description, nothing. Just that video clip with the timestamp that was like 8 a.m. and I hit upload. I didn't think twice about it till I opened up my phone when I got back on that cruise ship. I don't think I've ever received that sheer, I thought Instagram was going to break at the sheer amount of DMs that were just flooding my inbox. I had to like put my phone down and take a breath and be like, all right, Morgan, what did you just do? But I mean, it was weird. I just stopped caring. And I don't know if that's why I went on this cruise, because I normally am such a type A control freak. I can be a little uptight. I can be a little controlling. Everything is very curated. And for some reason on this cruise, I just had fun. I let go. I was wild and crazy, and I was partying, and I was making out with strangers, and I was finding hot Australians, and I was kind of posting about it, and I just did not give a shit. I probably lost a lot of followers because some people probably thought it was really annoying, but it was just such a freeing feeling. And if I look back, I don't have a single regret. In fact, I would do it 10 billion times more. I think everything was meant to happen the way that it happened. Anyways, we get back, we watch the sunrise, and poor Alex. I mean, I think once you hit 30, you just can't hang as well. She's now 32. Sorry, Alex. She's 32. I'm 29. So I got one more year of like being, young and sprite and like being able to stay up all night. Alex died. So the sun is rising, and my thought was, I was like, Alex, let's run in the water together since it was on our bucket list to watch the sunrise. Let's get a video clip of us running out together. I look over, and I will have to post this photo. I already did post it. Alex is head in between her knees in like fetal position on the beach. This girl is not responding. I'm like, did I just kill my sister? And I'm, of course, just being annoying. I'm like, Alex, come on. Like, the sun's rising. We're missing our opportunity. And she's like moaning. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, I need to go home. So luckily, Australian, sweet baby angel, he like knew that I wanted this video. And he was like, I'll go out with you. So like we hold hands and we just like walk out. And it was actually just really endearing and sweet. We weren't meant to like make out, but I don't know. He was just like looking at me and I was looking at him, and then the sun was rising, and then it's like the birds were paid actor. They just like were like swooping over us. Anyways, it really did feel like something out of a movie. Wild. But then I had to hear Alex moaning in the background and ruining my moment. And I was like, oh, I got to take care of her. So I like get Alex. We like drag her in an Uber. I go back on the cruise ship. This is after I have not slept in 24 hours. And tell me why. I tuck Alex in bed. Oop, nice and easy. Give her a little face mask. I shower. I still had my like little braids in my hair from the club. I put on clothes, and I, instead of sleeping like a functional human, my ass gets back in a cab, and I go to meet hot Australian to get my ears pierced. Why? For some reason, the night before was like, let's get piercings tomorrow. And everyone, as you're like drunk, is like, yeah, sure. It sounds fun. Let's do it. Piercings. Again, guys, once I set my mind on something, I have to do it. So the next day, we tried to go get piercings as the sun was rising. Okay, no piercing places open at 7:30 in the morning in Ibiza. So I shower, and I think low-key I wanted to hang out with this guy again. So I throw on clothes. I'm not feeling hot at this point. I actually feel pretty bad. And I meet him, and we go to this like shady tattoo parlor, and I didn't ask questions. I didn't know where I was. There was like 3 piercings for 90 euros. I was like, all right, this sounds like a really good deal. So I go to this like little shady room. Look, I should have asked questions. Like, what needle are you using? How do I clean this? Whatever. I was just like, I don't know. I want 2-second holes in a cartilage. This man doesn't really put a dot on. He comes over with this contraption. It's not like the little piercing gun that they have at Claire's, you know, the cute little plastic one that's for babies. No, this man had like machinery. So he like comes over, it doesn't even count, just like stabs me. And it like registered in my head because it actually really freaking hurt. And I just remember this random man from the nightclub is holding my hand. This other random man just stabbed me with like a not even a needle. It was like a nail. And I'm just like, ow. And then I kind of wanted to back out. I was like, you don't need to do the other ones. And he was like, you already paid. Like, at least let me even it out. So he did my second hole. And then when it came down for my cartilage, I'm like, well, I was kind of still like out of my mind from lack of sleep. But I was like, I don't think I can do it. This man comes over and he's like, all right, 1, 2, 3, stabs me. I was like, oh my God. All you need to know is, one, the piercings are still in, did not feel great. I am flying home the next day, and I am in a massage chair because I love an airport massage. Sign me up, take my money. I don't care who's watching. I'll put my knees in the little contraption. I'll be like, massage me. So this random man, I'm flying home from the cruise, he's massaging me, and he looks at the back of my ears, and he's like, are you okay? Did you get gauges? And the look on my face, because I don't know. I'm like, did this man give me gauges? Like, they were kind of thick earrings, but I didn't ask. I was just like, pierce me. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I got piercings in Ibiza yesterday. And he's like, the back of your ears are black. They were so bruised from this man just like absolutely stabbing me. The back of my earlobes were completely black. But look, the moral of the story is they're fine now. We have been cleaning them. Don't look at my cartilage. That one's having a little bit of issues. But, you know, I lived, and it was a fun story. And I had to say goodbye to Hot Aussie. And I was saying goodbye to this man. So my cruise ship was leaving. And I thought I was never going to see him ever again. And I was kind of sad. But also at that point, I was like, this was fun. This is a great way to end the cruise. I was so sad at the beginning of this, you know, coming on the ship without a fling or without a guy, and I left and I just met this awesome person who was just kind and funny and smart and cute. And I left kind of just like having the time of my life. And I was like, all right, everything worked out the way it was meant to be. I would have never done this had this person come. Me and Alex had a great time, but I had like this weird feeling. I was like kind of sad. And then lo and behold, I'm sitting in the airport and this guy texts me. He was like, I would love to see you again. I'm like, yeah, same, except you live in a different continent 16 hours ahead of me. He's like, well, I'm traveling in Europe. Anyways, that's how Prague came about. And I was actually not going to do it. I was sleep deprived. I was just like, Alex, I don't know. This sounds crazy. And it's anytime I do something insane, Alex Shaywalet is probably behind it. So I'm like looking at flights. I was like, I don't know. This stresses me out. I'm tired. And she was like, Morgan, you need to go. She was like, it just makes sense. I went on this cruise. I wasn't supposed to. You meet this guy. You didn't think that you would meet him. The stars are kind of aligning. She was like, why the hell not? I really think you should go. It's one day. So I kind of just was like, all right, F it. And with her right there, I changed my flight. I booked the flight to Prague. And as you guys heard in the first episode of this season, obviously I went to Prague. It was magical. It was fun. I don't know. Everyone keeps asking me on Instagram, like what the latest is. And I don't know. I really don't know. I would like to think that, is it fate that we were meant to meet? Maybe. Or maybe it was just God placing someone in my life for the first time, a guy who is emotionally available, who is communicative, who like actually cares about my needs and listens. I've never, ever had that in a relationship. And as we're talking via WhatsApp, because we can't text because the whole long distance international thing. So we're talking on WhatsApp and I keep sending screenshots to my friends being like, is this normal? And they're like, Morgan, this is how it should be. This is how a relationship should be. This is how a guy should be treating you. They should be asking you how you feel. They should be communicating. They should be making plans and being like, hey, I know you're busy. Let's book something so you don't have to worry about that. I never in my life have ever experienced that. So whether this goes to something else, that would be awesome. But if not, I at least now have a standard that I can hold every other guy to. And I've given up on dating in Nashville. I've already decided I will only internationally date if this does not work out. But I'm not even worried about that right now. I'm enjoying fall with my friends. And if all goes well, which I don't know, I haven't checked my phone. He hasn't. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he's texting me. I think he should now be waking up in Australia because, time difference. I now have Sydney as part of my world clock, which is annoying and cringy, but I kind of keep checking it and be like, what are you up to? That's embarrassing. So I don't know. The last I heard is he's potentially flying to Chicago this week. He wants me to come. Am I going to? Obviously, if he comes, I'm going to. Nothing's been finalized, but this podcast comes out on Monday. So if y'all are listening and you go to my story and you see me in the state of Chicago. Good God, go back to school, Morgan. If you see me in the city of Chicago, know that I am excited and I'm meeting up with tall, hot Aussie-Ibiza-cruise man, and we'll see where it goes. And guys, that was a long, lengthy, tangent-filled solo episode going over the crazy European cruise adventure. Hopefully I answered all your questions. Hopefully I filled you in on all the tea. Wow, I'm exhausted. That took a lot out of me. But guys, as always, thank you so much for listening. I'm sure the next solo episode, I will have even more crazy stories for you. Who freaking knows? At this point, my life is an utter joke. And every single day, I'm like, God, is this real? And I keep waking up and it is my real life. So thanks for following along. And I can't wait to talk to you all next week. Thanks so much for listening to the Your Internet Best Friend podcast. It's been real. It's been fun. And I will see everyone here next week. In the meantime, do all the podcast things. Like, subscribe, give me a 5-star review if you please. And catch up with me on social media at Morgan Lee Willette. Bye, besties.